So, this is my review of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. As most of you know the plot, I will not spend much time on it. Harry's at the Dudleys. He gets a visit from Dobby, who tells him not to go back to Hogwarts. He goes back, he gets in trouble. The elf shows up again, then the monster that petrifies people, and eventually a cat shows up. Harry gets blamed. The day afterwards, Harry, Hermione, and Ron get to know Moaning Myrtle. Harry finds a book that talks to him. It turns out the book tells him about Hagrid and a spider that he once had in the school, and he was blamed for something. And he was actually opened. Hagrid was actually the one who opened the Chamber of Secrets, and Tom Riddle, who owned the book, ratted him out. Harry has the idea of going to meet the spider, and the spider tells him that Hagrid is not to blame for the attacks that happened in the school years and years ago. Harry faces Tom Riddle in the Chamber of Secrets after a while, which turns out to be Voldemort, and after a while a huge basilisk shows up, sort of snake, a big snake, and takes to Fawkes the Phoenix and the Sorting Hat, which gives Harry a sword. He saves the day. They manage to destroy the diary, which had a piece of the soul of the Dark Lord. Everyone goes home happy, and we have the first big hint by Voldemort himself that Ginny actually likes Harry. And that's kind of funny if you think of it. So, that's basically the plot of the story, and just like before, I liked the book very much. It showed me how much the characters evolved in the very short amount of time. I think a year has passed since everything started. Harry has many friends now. He's loved by many people. He's not alone anymore. Ron finds out that he can actually do stuff, and he's not that far back from his brothers. He actually doesn't realize it, but he actually realizes it in a way that he really likes Hermione. I mean, he spends half the book trying to beat up people who speak badly to her, or because of her, or to her, in a sense. And Hermione actually evolved a lot because she actually does bad deeds in this book, which she would never do in the first book, if you come to think of it. A few topics that I would like to point out, if you guys want to discuss them. First one. Was I the only one who thought it was weird that when Dobby does the charm at the beginning of the book, it's the Ministry job to blame Harry for that? I mean, can't they actually know who does a charm or not? Because the Ministry is supposed to have a close eye on magic and who gets to use it or not, but because of a spell that Dobby did, Harry gets blamed for it. So how far does their extent of watchfulness extend? Because they're not very good at their jobs. And in that point, we also can point out that Dobby is a weird character. I mean, he's supposed to be the house health of the Draco family, but he has a very big amount of freedom for someone who's bound to some family in their service, because we see him walking around all the time and basically helping Harry out. So between being free and not having to listen to anyone, he can be actually a very free character. And I have to point out, he reminded me so much of Charlie Brown. Like, he tries so hard to do stuff right for Harry, but it always goes badly. That is so like Charlie Brown. Next one. There is the small hints, obviously, that Ginny likes Harry. She keeps blushing, stuff keeps getting broken by her. I mean, the girl can't really hold a piece of furniture or a piece of plates or bowls in her hand when he's around because she keeps breaking stuff or just blushing like a sun. I think that was a comparison they did. Lockhart. Oh my goodness. He reminded me of Prince Charming from Shrek. I'm pretty sure you guys know who I'm talking about. Just because of the description, He's so much like Prince Charming from Shrek. Just the attitude, the hair, the smile, everything that is about him that's just phony and just shallow. And honestly, why did Dumbledore hire this guy? There was no point. Like, they go through so many teachers against the Dark Arts defense, like so many. Why don't just give the job to Snape? We know he's a perfect man for the job. I mean, come on. Anyway, the fact that Harry still seems to be kind of weird with money kind of gets to me. I mean, he has a ton of money in his vault, but he couldn't come forward and help the, well, Ron's family with their expenses. We know they don't really have that much money, but still, it would be nice of Harry to just come forward and help out. I mean, he does give Ginny her books, but even so. The flying car. Was I the only one who had a problem with that? Like, there's a ton of ways that they can actually get to Hogwarts, apparently. And by flying car doesn't seem to be a very reliable one. They do get in trouble because of it. And you have Flu Powder, which basically teleports you, so I'm like, you can pretty much teleport to Hogwarts if you want. You have the adult sorcerers and witches who can basically do an instant transportation, according to Ron, into anywhere they want, so I do suppose they could be teleported by someone to the school. And I'm like, it's not that complicated because you're not trespassing dimensions, so to say. If you can get there by flying car, you're not really changing dimensions. You're just in a, what, another plane of existence, so to speak? But if you can get there by flying car, there should be an easier way to do it without drawing that much attention. And even the statement that they could have sent an owl to tell about their situation, I'm like, how fast do owls travel in this world, honestly? Owls are not that fast. What else? Oh, the school apparently isn't very well known by all the houses. Like, Ron and Harry have a big problem trying to find Slytherin's common room when they change with the Polyjuice potion. And that's weird. Like, if you're in a castle, the only thing you can do besides going to classes is actually explore a bit. So, like, are you just going to stick to where you are all the time? Come on. It was interesting, at least from my point of view, how the writer put the subject of racism and xenophobia in a bit in the book. We have the whole situation with the mudbloods, the purebloods, the muggle, the squibs, and it's a pretty heavy subject for a kid's book. Just to see all that hatred and all that, oh, I'm so much better than you, just on a book, it was heavy, to say the least. In that topic, I do feel very bad for Flinch, like the character that's also at Hogwarts. I mean, like, he was born in a world where people use magic all the time, and he basically was born without being able to do that. So, you kind of really feel bad for the guy. As Ron said, he is bitter, and I'm not saying it's the right approach to life, but you kind of understand him a bit more now, at least. In that topic also, the whole thing with Slytherin and Salazar Slytherin being like, we only want the best people and only families that have magic, pure bloods in the school. I'm like, how much can you evolve if you don't have different experiences, people, and just overall conversations in the same place? And to a point, the school is actually doing that too. You're just keeping the houses in their own spots. You're not really putting them together, having them interact. You're just putting them against one another just by competition. You don't really see people go into discussions or just overall conversations, friendships, they just stick to themselves. That is, well, at the end of the book, Ron's brother is dating a girl from Ravenclaw, so that gives me a bit of hope. But even so, it's a bit bad that they just keep to themselves. They should be a bit more open-minded to things. And the whole thing of just overall fear and just overall not being really good to people that are different or scary overall. Two things I want to point out. The first one is Parseltongue from Harry, which basically means everyone that's around him, because of the whole situation at school, is going to be afraid of him. And they're more afraid of him because he speaks a different language than the fact that he just saved someone from a deadly snake. I mean, if that was me, I would be like, hey, Harry, you know how to speak the language of snakes. Can you actually teach me that? Because that's very cool, mate. Honestly, that's so cool. You could actually catalog the language of Parseltongue and just make an alphabet and just overall sounds. You could actually teach that to people. That's interesting, honestly. The second point of that is Aragog. Most of you don't know this, but I actually like spiders. I do. I really like spiders. For some reason, I don't know where my liking came from, but when I saw that there was a huge spider going around in the forest and Hagrid took care of it, I'm like, I can understand him. I can understand him. Like, spiders only really want to keep to themselves. So, just let them be in peace and they'll leave you be in peace. That's pretty much it. They don't, by norm, attack people. So, just because something is evil or sounds evil doesn't mean that it is evil. Like, in the sense of the language and Aragog, you might learn something new, you might see something new, and you might end up just broadening your horizons. What else? Oh, Dumbledore. To just wrap this analysis up. Dumbledore was surprisingly absent from this book. If you don't, at least I had that notion until the end of it when he was talking to Harry. Like, you see him at the beginning of the book, and then at the end of the book. That's pretty much it. He shows up, he gives them a bad time for flying the car to Hogwarts. He then talks to Harry a bit in the middle of the book, just asking if everything's alright, and then at the ending, is like, oh, you're a true Gryffindor because of the sword, and you're okay, and just reassuring him that he's alright where he is. Because Harry has a problem between Slytherin and Gryffindor, but it's explained that this Slytherin part of him is probably due to Voldemort passing a bit of power to him. But even so, that shouldn't affect him that much. He's half Gryffindor, half Slytherin, at least in my opinion. He should be in Slytherin, but whatever, that's me. Anyway, if you guys have anything to say, anything more to add, just please have a good day, leave a comments down below, and have fun.